of yourself, be mindful of your wealth, be mindful of your health. You need it, just take a breath. It's your life, live it, be your best. Stay box free with your Mindful Moxies.
Mindful Moxies. Welcome back to Mindful Moxies. We are so excited to be here. My name is Adrianna Foster.
And I am Luly de Carreras.
Yes! And we are your Mindful Moxies, where we embrace the messy realities of growth in life so we can experience a life of clarity, courage, and grace. This is why we are here every week. We're going to bring you incredible topics that are going to help you to be a Moxie. Luly, what is being a Moxie?
A Moxie is somebody who's courageous, somebody who's wise, and somebody who has grace. It's such a good word, isn't it?
Yeah.
Such a good word.
And we're
Such
your
a good
Mindful
word.
Moxies, and we are official because we have shirts.
We're fancy.
We're fancy.
fancy.
How are you doing today, Luly?
I'm doing so good. I'm really excited about today's topic.
I know, me too, because this is a big one.
This is a big one,
The
yeah.
topic of today is...
It is all about the story that you tell yourself. We're going to unpack those stories. We're going to even share our own stories that we tell ourselves. And this episode was actually inspired by our good friend, Brené Brown, because she's our good
Our
friend.
homie, yes.
She's our homie.
Brainy. I call her Brainy.
So Brené Brown, in A Call to Courage, it's a Netflix special. And if there's anything I know, you either subscribe to Netflix or you use somebody else's password. I know some of you.
Wait, I see you. Don't run.
So check out Brené Brown's A Call to Courage. But I'll share with you one of my favorite parts and something that forever impacted me back in, I think it was 2017, 18 when this came out.
Yeah.
So she shares a story about being in the lake house with her entire family. And she's out in the lake with her husband. She and her husband are both, college swimmers. And I'm sorry if I might butcher a few of the details.
Yeah.
But I'll get the gist of the story just to kind of give some context, right? So they were both swimmers. They love to swim. They're out for a swim in the cove. And, they're out in the middle. And she just has like this really beautiful, intimate moment with her husband. She's just kind of like feeling this moment of gratitude, this very like romantic, intimate moment. And she decides to share something with her husband. And she says, I love this moment. I love us and our family. And she just shares something really, really special with him. And as she's sharing, he looks at her and then kind of looks away and says, "Yeah, babe, yeah." And she kind of looks and was like, WTF? And they start, swimming back to the lake house. And as she's swimming back to the lake house, all these feelings and all these emotions and all of these things are intruding in her brain, and she's hearing all these things. And finally at one point she looks at her husband and she says, "What is going on? The story I'm telling myself is I don't rock a bathing suit the way that I used to at 25 years, and you're questioning me and our marriage." And she goes on and on and on. And he looks at her and he's like, "What are you talking about? I was counting my strokes." And
Because
I'm not,
I think that he had anxiety.
Yeah.
And he was experiencing something. And,
Right.
And she made it about herself because that was a story that she was telling herself.
Right. And I don't want to completely share the story, and I'm leaving specific details out because I want you to experience
Please
this
watch
for
it.
yourself.
Yeah,
It's so powerful.
Super powerful, yeah.
But I loved the way that she started that conversation.
It is incredible.
The story I'm telling myself is, and here's the reason why for me that was so impactful, is I've been told by a lot of people in my life that I can be defensive. And that
Well, if you watch our last week's episode, you will know why.
you'll know why.
Because there's an agreement that Luly
Isn't so great
sucks
at.
at.
And so the feedback I've heard sometimes I can be defensive. And so and what's crazy is I don't think I'm being defensive. I'm just explaining.
Right.
So what my good friend, what our homie Brené did was she gave me a tool that I got to add in my toolbox. And now my approach when I'm feeling a certain way is I can look at someone that I love and I can say, listen, the story that I'm telling myself is, and it's just such a great way to start a conversation. So
Absolutely.
powerful,
It is extremely powerful. When we started planning this podcast, I was very excited with this topic because this is literally, in my experience, what can drive relationships to end, to be chaotic, in not just romantic relationships, which, by the way, I always tell my clients, if you don't work in your childhood trauma, your romantic relationship will do that for you. So romantic relationships, friendships, partnerships, there's so much that's going on in both of our, in the other person's head and in our head that might not be true. And this is based on our own stories that come from, again, I'm always going to be the one that goes to the deep side because that's what I do. Where do these stories come from? Right? Where do these stories come from is there any part of you that is in pain? Is there any part of you that believes that you're not good enough? And when did that start? Because that belief that you're not good enough will create a branch and will paint you a picture, kind of like a filter, right? Like a filter. Imagine you have like a camera. Remember those cameras when we were kids that you were like, it was like a little circle thingy. I don't know the name.
What is the thing called? We'll put it down in the show notes. Yeah, I used to play with that.
Right, right? So it gives you like different filters and different views. This is what trauma does. This is what pain more than anything does. And then we're having a conversation and you say something that triggers that pain in me. And that pain tells me a story. Oh, Luly doesn't like me. Oh, Luly just rejected me. Oh, blah, blah, blah. Which might not be true. Maybe you're having a bad day.
Right.
Maybe there's, you are not aware of what's going on. And I react as if that story was true. And then you get triggered. And then you react like that.
And then it's a whole blowout fight.
Yes.
Over something that could have been resolved had we used Brené Brown's beautiful phrase, the story I'm telling myself.
And it's very impactful how sometimes we are having conversations, solving problems that do not exist.
Oh my gosh.
I repeat, do not exist. And this is what unhealed pain will do. Like for me, my biggest filter, a story that it's incredible now in hindsight to see it, right, is when I was at Luly B's table at the Boost. Luly has a mastermind called Boost, and she's amazing. And she helps women entrepreneurs find their purpose and gives them tools to, create their purpose outside and share it with the world and be successful. And I was a first generation Boostie. Like it was your first year. And I was so triggered because I was in a room full of women that had money, that had resources, that had businesses for a while. And here I am a singer, which in my head, the story I was telling myself at that time is that I was a failed singer, right? That my career failed because I was not Celine Dion, so I failed, right? And I am a hypnotherapist that doesn't have clients, and I am an astrologer that sucks, or that is very ashamed and scared of sharing that mystical and magical side of her. So I am at Luly's table, sobbing on the table, saying, who's going to hire a hypnotherapist and a singer? Because the story I was telling myself is that all of my being, all of who I was going to take credibility away, that people were not going to believe me, that people were not going to be inspired, that they were going to think that I was, a fake. And it took me so much courage and so much healing to get to the point where I took that filter off. But that story was on the way for a long time. Yeah. It was really hard. And you helped me tremendously.
Thank you.
In getting all of my parts together. And more importantly, clearing that story. I remember that you were like, you're comparing yourself and I'm not going to let you do that. And I was like,
I could be firm.
Yes. So how awesome it is when you identify that story and you have someone that to keep you accountable and to tell you, no, that's not true.
Yeah. And I think also providing that perspective for you, because today what you do, right, today and shortly after that story, you created a business and a brand around all three.
Oh, 1,000%.
You did not see the capacity or the vision of being able to bring your three gifts together as one thing, and that's my magic, right? I'm really great at when you tell me that you're all over the place. Oh my God, come to mama.
Come to mama. Yes.
All over the place or too many ideas. And that's exactly what you had, is that your story of there's no way that, and I remember you saying this to me. You said, okay, so I finish a hypnotherapy session, and then I go, oh, by the way, I sing. I'm like, no, that's not how you would do it, Adriana. That's not. And shortly thereafter, you launched Foster Nights.
Yes.
Which is, you can hire this woman to go and do a personalized concert at a party, or celebrating an 80th birthday or a 40th birthday or an anniversary, a milestone. And she did this for my birthday, right?
Yes.
She sang the song that my dad would sing to me when I was little, my favorite bands, songs that describe my personality, right? And you were able to get there because you were able to let go of that story.
Let go of that story. And thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
Because thank you. I'm in goosebumps. I was talking to my clients the other day in my Loud Network meeting. I have a networking meeting that happens the first Wednesday of every month at the Modern Rose in Fort Lauderdale. And I was telling them that it would be a tragedy if they didn't make the choice to get out there and be loud and share their gifts. It would be a tragedy. So now that you're telling me this, like, imagine the tragedy that it would have been if I didn't take that story out and I didn't decide to embrace all of my gifts, to feel proud and to share them with grace. And to know that maybe not everybody's going to be my audience, but there's people out there waiting for what I have to do. And there's proof, because this is what I do today. I am a motivational singer. I am a speaker. I am a clinical hypnotherapist. And I'm the CEO of Loud Women Nation, where I bring all of these tools together.
That's right.
And build experiences of personal development and growth for women. So I'm sharing this with you because if you feel that there's a story that you are 100%, because Luly, I was 100% true that what I was saying had coherence.
Totally.
And that you were crazy by telling me that I could do. And I remember that I was blocked. I couldn't even understand the how. So if you're feeling that way, I promise you, look at your story and question it. Question your story. Is this story true?
Yeah.
Are there facts that are telling me that this is 100% true? And if it's not, my friend, my sister, #stop it.
#stop it.
And heal and go within and understand your inner narrative.
And I think it's also really important, Adriana, what we were talking about earlier about the story is you also got to honor the story. You heard that story and you didn't judge, and you were like, where does this come from? And also something really big that you did was that you accepted the support.
Yes.
You leaned into community. You invested into the Boost community, which is the program I have, which is an annual program for women and women in business to create a business and life of significance, the life that we deserve, the life that we dream of, right? And so what's so great about the two of us, right, is what I really work on is when you have those too many ideas or you have a vision of what business and life could look like, I love magically creating that space for you to have the tools, right? And all we did was bring out the tools of your toolbox and create the masterpiece together.
Yes.
You know,
you literally build the foundation of who Adrianna Foster was. Yeah. And from there, you know, when you gave me, because it was great what you did too, and this is what you do in Boost. If you haven't experienced Luly, you have to. You gave me permission to believe that there could be another story. Look, I have goosebumps right now. You gave me permission to believe that there could be another story that could allow me to get to the space where I wanted to be. So I'm asking you, if you're watching today, what is that story that you keep telling to yourself that it's not going to happen? I'm not going to get that job. This is silly. Everybody's going to hate me. I can't do the post. I can't do the video. I'm not good at this. I'm not good at that. What's that story? And I promise you, question it and find your tribe that is going to tell you, girl, you're wrong. You got this.
Yeah.
And accept the support. But honoring that this story comes from pain.
Yeah.
It's not
And
bad.
experiences,
It's,
right.
it comes from past experiences, from pain that are telling you that you can't do it. And that if you do it, you're in danger. And that's where you get to allow yourself with compassion to do the shadow work and to love this story and put it on the side.
And put it on the side and then
Yes.
cover it up later somewhere. Well, and I think also, you know, we're talking about in your situation that it was about work, right? It was about business. A lot of worthiness conversations came up, like, who am I?
Yeah.
Right. The story that Adriana was telling herself as I'm a failed singer. Who's going to believe a hypnotherapist that's also a singer, right? There were a series of stories, right?
Right.
And so that's true for your business, for your career. In fact, you know, we see the data around women going after venture capital, data of women growing their businesses. And yes, there are still stigmas around women and we don't always get our voice in, you know, or a seat at the table. But the truth is, I also think that we self-select out a lot.
Yes.
Whereas a man might not necessarily do that. A man might see a resume, a job description, and he's like, I got like 70, 80%. I'm going to go for it.
I'm going to go for it.
I'm going to go for it. Whereas
1,000%.
the woman will start to tell herself the story of, I'm not good enough. I'm not qualified enough. I need this certification. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with wanting to be excellent. That's not what we're talking about here.
No.
It's the story that we tell ourselves. So Adriana's story was business, you know, her career and her business and her you know, your personal brand.
Yeah.
And for me, it was in romantic relationships. I was in a marriage for 20 years that ended due to infidelity. And the story that I told myself was, Luly, you're good at a lot of things. You're not good at marriage. You're a great communicator. You are great at motivating. And you do all of those things really, really well, but you're just not good at that in marriage. And I'm grateful that, again, I had a tribe. I have a tribe. But during my darkest days, I leaned into that tribe like it was nobody's business. I mean,
yes.
you said to me, Luly, I'm here for you if you need something, and you went on a list. Like, you went on a list.
On speed dial.
Massive
but
speed
that's
dial.
awesome though. Like,
Yeah.
that is what, again, that's also part of the story that we tell ourselves, right?
Yes.
Oh, she told me that she's going to help me, but I'm not going to burden her.
I'm
with
not going to
this.
burden her. I'm
It's
not going to
gonna
bother
be too
her.
much.
Right.
Right. And you didn't do that. You were like,
Hell no.
what?
There were no stories there.
Let's go. Let's
go. And so that's a very good point, Adriana, is that might be another story you tell yourself, right? Is, you know, my sister, my best friend, my colleague said, let me know if you need something. And you might turn that into a story, right? The accepting help or support might be blocked by the story that you're telling yourself.
Yeah.
So for me, it was, you know, shortly after my divorce, it was, you're good at a lot of things, Luly, but you're not great at love. You're not great at marriage.
You're not great at marriage.
And I'm proud of myself because I allowed love in. And I came from which will be another episode, because this is a great episode of like how I approached dating after 20 years. I had so much fun. And Adriana, you know, who's a lot younger than me, I could hang with this girl. I could hang with her.
But it's not a lot younger, but thank you. I received that compliment.
It's more than a decade.
No, but I do wanna share, Luly, if I may, that the way that you leaned into the pain of that story, that was admirable.
Thank you.
The courage that this woman had. I remember one time we were in a session and you were on my chair and you were sobbing and your face changed as if you were 5 years old. Mira, I have goosebumps. Para pelos, #parapelos. Like, your face changed as if you were 5 years old and you were tapping into a very painful moment that marked you for years of, I am not good at, you know, this. And that, because of how the psyche works and the mind and whatever, transcended into I'm not good at marriage. But it was true. Like, it was a true painful thing. But you were a badass.
Thank you.
Embraced it with so much courage. You allowed yourself to break down completely. And this is what happens when we do that. When our heart breaks totally, that is when it expands and we allow ourselves to change the story. The story is within our heart. It's marked because of past trauma, because of unhealed wounds. And in order for us to delete that story and create a new story, we have to break our heart in order for it to expand, for that story to leave, and then for us to have space to find in our truth, in our authentic self, the real story. And this is what you did.
Thank you. Thank you. And Leonard Cohen has a great quote that says, it's only through the broken parts that you can let the light shine out.
Absolutely.
And that's exactly what I did. And that's exactly what both of us did. And you know, I'm very proud to report that I am now in a incredibly healthy and beautiful and emotionally intelligent and profound marriage.
Yes.
With an extraordinary man where I look at him and I'm like, somebody pinch me. Yes. How did I land this? Like this extraordinarily intimate, beautiful, profound relationship. And I know, right? And there's still a lot of traumas and work that I get to do around it. And I am so deeply grateful for the work that I did, the way that I leaned into the story, because that's exactly what I did. And when the story still creeps up every once in a while, right? When I am triggered by something, again, because if you watched episode 1, you know.
Go watch
my
episode
agreement.
1.
My
Go
agreement.
watch episode 1.
This is like confessions.
It should be called Mindful Confession.
Mindful confession. Right? I take things personally, right? And so
You used to.
I used to. And because I used to take things personally, again, it's just, it's a mumbo jumbo of stuff. But here's my point. Leaning into the story and having the courage that I did because I'm a Moxie allowed me to have fun with dating again after marriage. And I know there's a lot of you that might be watching this that might find yourselves single. And you might have always been single. Or maybe you experienced what I experienced. Or maybe you're going through a divorce right now. Or maybe you're even considering divorce. And I think my story is not your story. So please don't compare yourself. Do not compare yourself. Just allow yourself to be inspired by my experience. Because what my experience can support you with is helping you see that there is beauty on the other side of pain. And when you lean into the story and start realizing, okay, what is the story that I'm telling myself? And the story that I'm telling myself is, if somebody left me, and he left me because I'm not good at marriage, because I believed a few things that were told to me, and I also beat myself up for the things that I didn't know or the things that I could have done better, because I recognize that there were things that I could have done better in that relationship. But I did the best that I could with the information that I had at the time. And honoring that and being graceful with myself and being gentle with myself was so, so important. So if I honor that, and I honor that story and remind myself back to what Adriana was saying, what part of this is true? This was one person's experience of me. Thank you. Thank you for this lesson. I'm going to now lean into the lesson, and I'm going to lean into the story, and I'm going to allow the story not to define me. So again, whether it's in a failed marriage, a failed career, which really what those failed things are is just beautiful lessons, and I always think phenomenal stories, because they always make for great stories.
Always.
Always
We
great
always have an
stories.
opportunity. That was so...
Yeah.
Mic drop.
Thank you.
Mic drop.
Thank you.
Mic drop. This reminds me of a song that It is extremely powerful. And when I went to The Voice the first time in 2018, I was having these stories, right? That, I'm a failed singer. The old I'm a failed singer came back, and I'm too old to be in the show. Everybody else is 18 and I'm 30 something. And, all these stories. And I remember a really good friend of mine that actually is a mutual friend. She gave me this song and she told me, listen to this over and over again, because sometimes, and that's going to be my ask for all of you, right? First of all, like Luly just said, question your story, lean into it, and understand where it comes from, the pain. And if you can't find it within yourself to change that story, then confide in a greater power, however that looks like, whether it's God, the universe, your higher self, however you want to call it. Just confide that there's a greater power telling you that it's true, or even it's a friend like Luly did for me, right? And there's a song that I'm going to sing a little bit because
you need to sing a lot. You need to sing a lot.
But I want you to go and listen to the song.
Okay.
It says, well, this is the chorus. You say I am loved when I can't feel a thing. You say I am strong when I think I am weak. You say I am held when I am falling short, and when I don't belong, you say I am yours. And I believe, I believe what you say of me. I believe. So I'm asking you, if you don't believe in yourself, believe in a greater power, or look for a tribe that can help you, that can tell you the truth. What's your story? What's the real thing that's happening? What's the reality? So you can have compassion for that story, shift it, and create a new one that empowers you and serves you.
Absolutely. And thank you, Lauren Daigle, for that beautiful song. It's one of my favorite songs. And as we wrap up this episode, I'm hoping that we've equipped you not only with a beautiful song and some tools and maybe some homework to go back to Brené Brown's A Call to Courage on Netflix, but also by sharing our stories, right?
Yes.
Sharing our experiences and giving new examples of the way that we navigate. Because as you said, when you got back, when you were in The Voice, that story started to creep up again. The story creeps up for me at least once a week.
Yes, 100%.
And because we have the awareness and we have the tools, we can just take out the tools from our toolbox and use them.
Yeah. And very important to know that if the story keeps creeping up and sometimes it has like newfound power, it's probably because you are living a new story. You're living happiness, joy, the life that you always dreamed of, and the story is trying to protect you, because this is what pain does. Tries to protect us. This comes from trauma. So the story is trying to bring you back. No. Don't grow that much. Don't fall so much in love. Don't be so happy, because we can die. If you watch Inside Out 2, you're going to understand. So if you're feeling it, it's because you are in the right track.
Yes. So lean into that story. Lean into support. People that are around you that want to see you experience joy and success. And if you don't have that right now, call us.
We are your Mindful Moxies, and we are here to support you. And we love you, and thank you so much for being here for us and with us. We will see you next week. We are the Mindful Moxies. I have to work on that riff. Ooh, yeah. Mindful Moxies.
Let's go. Hey. Be mindful of yourself, be mindful of your wealth, be mindful of your health. You need it, just take a breath. It's your life, live it, be your best. Stay box free with your mindful moxies.